Hey, what's up, you guys? WWE Fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review Back in Time. So, what Back in Time is basically about, it's a documentary about Back to the Future. About the film itself and about kind of its fan base and how it has grown because of this movie. So, that's what basically this documentary is about. So, what did I think of Back in Time? It's a really good documentary. I really enjoyed not Back to the Future. Well, it is based on Back to the Future, but Back in Time. I really enjoyed this documentary. It was a really good documentary on, the making of Back to the Future and seeing how, the fan base, how people have grown to appreciate this film. So I liked seeing that. This was a really good documentary, in my opinion. So yeah. So, let's get into my positives, and my positives are, of course, seeing how they made this film. It was a struggle for them to make this movie because, Robert Zemeckis, he had this idea, for a film, and, nobody wanted to make it because at the time, time travel films were not doing good. Time travel films were barely making any money, so they were just nervous that this movie wasn't going to make any money. So, there was a lot of production, failures. They took it to, every studio. They took it to, 20th Century Fox. They took it to Columbia. They took it to, MGM. They took it to a lot of studios. When they went to Disney was like, we're not going to do this. You're trying to make a movie about incest because, of course, in the film, Marty goes back in time and he accidentally, his mother accidentally starting to fall in love with him. So, they were like, we can't make this movie. So that's when Universal picked up the film and they made it. So, and of course, seeing that when at first Michael J. Fox couldn't come on and they got Eric Stoltz. Eric Stoltz was a big, huge pile of garbage. Well, in terms of him doing the comedy and stuff, so they had to get him out, bring back Michael J. Fox. So it was really, really crazy seeing how they made this movie and just seeing how it was put together and everything, and just kind of what it has spawned and everything. I really like seeing that. So yeah. I also really like seeing kind of how this movie has influenced people. You see it in this documentary. You see that this film, has influenced people, has really left something in people's hearts and really have, left an impact on their lives. And, I love seeing that because, films like Toy Story and the original Star Wars trilogy is films that have influence on me, and seeing, that Back to the Future was an influence on a lot of people was great. I love seeing that, this movie has influenced a lot of people. And, when you see people build their own DeLoreans and seeing people, dress up as the characters, it's still great. It's been 30 years since the original film. So, it's just incredible to me, honestly. It really is, seeing, how the fans are and just how everybody loves this movie, And I do too. Back to the Future is personally one of my favorite films of all time. Who's, come on now. But, I do love the film, so, and seeing how the film has spawned, its legacy that it has spawned, is just so great to me. So, yeah. I thought all the interviews where everybody, they got a lot of people, actually, to do interviews for this, They got Leah Thompson, they got, the guy who played, the mayor, who went, mayor! They got that guy, which was great seeing him. And, they got Christopher Lloyd, they got Robert Zemeckis, they got, they got mostly everybody. Even Michael J. Fox, they were able to get to do interviews for this. So, that was cool. I like seeing that. I like seeing how everybody was kind of, talking about, how the film was, how it was on set and everything. And, they also got some of the fans to do interviews and stuff, basically telling them how this movie has influenced them and how this movie has spawned such a legacy, spawned such a connection with them. So, yeah, I really like seeing that. And I thought that was great as well. So, yeah. The directing with the documentary, the directing was actually really good with this documentary. I thought some really good directing, in my opinion, with the documentary. Some really good documentary, in my opinion. So yeah. It's very not fast paced, but it is a very fast moving type documentary. It does, it takes its time, but also is a bit of a fast pace at first. So yeah, it's only an hour and 34 minutes. So yeah. Unfortunately, I do have some negatives with Back in Time, and my negatives are, I wish they could have talked about the sequels a little bit more. I get it's about the first film, but I wish they could have talked about the sequels as well. Kind of how it was to make the sequels as well. They do talk about them briefly, and it's just very brief. I wish they could have, talked about them a bit more. And another interesting thing is when we see, Robert Zemeckis, he actually made t-shirts that said Back to the Future and had number 4 in the Roman numeral. It was like crossed out, basically telling them there's going to be no Back to the Future 4, so don't expect it. So, yeah, I really like seeing that as well. That was pretty cool. So, yeah. I wish they could have talked about the sequels just a bit more. I wish they do talk about the film a lot, how they made it and stuff, but they really just focus on the fandom, like the focus on kind of the audience and how it's influenced them and stuff. I wish they could have just toned it down a bit on that, and we could have focused a little bit more on how they made the film and how it was such a revolutionary hit. So yeah, and there was some kind of out-of-place moments in the documentary that I thought was did that really need to be there? Like, they're showing clips from, Rick and Morty for about a good 2 minutes. I'm like, what? Because I get Rick and Morty is basically based off of Back to the Future. Let's be honest now. So, honestly, there were some out-of-place moments I thought they could have not been there. So, yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed Back in Time. Back in Time is a really good documentary, and I think you all should check out Back in Time. So yeah. So it's time for my official grade on Back in Time, and my official grade on Back in Time is a B+. It's a really good documentary. I think all of you should check out this documentary, honestly. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, it's getting a B+. So what you guys think of Back in Time? Leave it in the comment section below. And I'm WWE Fan 0599, and we'll see you out later. Peace.